We are not professing to tell you the complete story of these activities. We are professing to tell you the complete story that we know.
A new world order.
These records...
U.S. stationing tanks and artillery in classified Norwegian caves. Marines are prepositioning battle tanks, artillery, and logistics equipment inside Norwegian caves as the U.S. pushes to station equipment near the NATO-Russia frontier. Any gear that is forward deployed both reduces cost and speeds up our ability to support operations in crisis, so we're able to fall in on gear that is ready to go and respond to whatever that crisis may be. Again, this is near the NATO-Russia frontier. Colonel William Bentley, operations officer for the 2nd Marine Expeditionary Brigade, said in a statement Friday on the Norwegian deployment that called the caves classified. The deployment of new equipment to the Cold War-era caves comes amid renewed tensions between NATO and Russia. Russia shares a 121-mile-long border with Norway. The border was heavily militarized during the Cold War, and the Russian Navy's Northern Fleet is in Murmansk, about 100 miles from the border. In October, Norway's chief of defense told reporters that Russia has shown that they are willing to use military force to achieve political ambitions. U.S. Marine Corps amphibious assault vehicles assemble before a public splash demonstration on the Trondheim Ford in Norway in January. The climate-controlled caves are located throughout central Norway. The storage of American equipment there first began in 1981 during the Cold War in an effort to bolster NATO's defenses against the Soviet Union, according to the Marine statement. After the end of the Cold War, the United States questioned the rationale behind maintaining the cave complex, according to Magnus Nordenman, director of the Transatlantic Security Initiative at the Atlantic Council. In a bid to save the cave facilities, the Norwegian government agreed to shoulder the cost of maintaining the caves during the 1990s, according to Nordenman, who has discussed the caves with the Norwegian Minister of Defense. The secured cave complex is a modern and robust facility staffed by about 100 Norwegian and U.S. personnel, and it contains enough equipment to support 15,000 Marines, according to Nordenman. The equipment in the caves has been used to support operations in Iraq. Some 6,500 pieces of the equipment in the cave will be used in an upcoming training exercise, Cold Response 16, which will take place later this month, the Marines said. The exercise will include 12 NATO allies and partners and more than 16,000 troops. Conley said the new military exercises were critical to ensuring that NATO could test its equipment and personnel in cold weather environments. Russia's Northern Fleet conducted unannounced military drills in March involving 38,000 troops. The announcement comes just days after the Department of Defense announced it was spending $3.4 billion for the European Reassurance Initiative in an effort to deter Russian aggression against NATO allies. The initiative will include the prepositioning of equipment in the Baltic states, Poland, and Central Europe. The United States also announced Sunday that the U.S. Air Force will send 6 F-15s to Norway's neighbor, Finland, this spring for exercises that will operate out of a base about 100 miles from the border with Russia. Speaking on the new NATO-Russia dynamic, Conley said, "We have to look at Northern Europe, the Northern Atlantic, the Baltics, and Eastern Europe as one theater of operations. And before this is all over with, NATO and Russia and their allies, including China, will merge into a one-world system." You can read of the blueprint of it in Daniel chapter 7. The lion being symbolic of the Christian nations because the scepter of Judah, whose symbol is a lion, is in the United Kingdom. And you have the Commonwealth of Nations as well as NATO and the European Union to figure into that equation. And you have the bear in Daniel chapter 7. That's Russia, the communistic system of Esau, because Jacob is the Christian nations, the king of the south of Daniel 11, and Russia is the king of the north, Esau. of Daniel chapter 11, the king of the north. So you've got the king of the south, the king of the north, then you have the leopard, the Kenites and their 4 hidden dynasties, and then last but not least, the supernatural ingredient to this one world political system, letting you know that it will not become a reality until the beginning of a 5-month period after Satan and his angels are cast out of heaven unto the earth. That's the 4th beast of Daniel chapter 7. It has 10 horns. And when you read Revelation chapter 13, you see that this 7-headed beast that rises up out of the sea, the one world political system, has 10 horns. Then it receives a deadly wound to one of its heads, as you can read of in Revelation chapter 13, and then Satan appears as the false Christ, and then it goes from being a one world political system to a one world religious system, and that's when they'll receive that mark of the beast in their forehead, which is the deception that Jesus has returned. That's what the mark of the beast is. It's the opposite of the seal of God. What is the seal of God? The truth in your mind, in your forehead, whereby you're not deceived into accepting that mark of the beast, which is the deception. It's talking about worshiping the devil. That's what the mark of the beast is. It's being deceived into worshiping Satan, thinking that he's Jesus returned. But you don't need to be deceived. It's not necessary. It doesn't have to be that way. You can go to Mark13Records.com and get started if you're new to all this, and go from there. And as Christ said in the last verse of Mark chapter 13, after he gave you these 7 seals, which make up the seal of God in your forehead, the truth whereby you're not deceived, if you go to Mark chapter 13 and look at the last verse there, what does he say? He says, "What I say unto you, I say unto all, watch."
Just wait. Watch and learn. Just wait. Watch and learn. Just wait. Watch and learn. Just wait. Watch and learn.
The Gospel of Matthew USB from Mark13Records.com. This key-shaped USB contains not only the entire book of Matthew that we've done on the Mark 13 Records YouTube channel here recently, all 28 videos, but also miscellaneous files: Agag, king of the Amalekites, the dragon stood on the sand of the sea, Daniel's 4th beast, the algebra of the New World Order, the book of Haggai, the book of Obadiah, the covenant with many for 1 week, the deadly wound hypothesis, the New World Order and the Whore of Babylon, the parable of the fig tree, the Psalm 83 war, the timeline of Ezekiel 38 and 39, and the 2 wings of a great eagle. This is 48 videos over 12 hours worth of Bible study for only $7. Write Mark13 Records at mail.com to find out how to order your copy of the Mark13Records.com USB, the Gospel of Matthew.